Welcome to the NBA Coast to Coast podcast, brought to you by thelines.com, coming to you from the West Coast. Josh Lander, joined by my guy Nate Weitzer on the East Coast. And we are looking at a very big slate here on a Wednesday night, Nate. It's Tuesday night as we're recording this, but 12 games on Wednesday night as everyone's off for Thanksgiving on Thursday. That is the NFL's day. But to this one, Nate, we are going to be talking about a pretty fun matchup that we like to look up, as the Kangs won 7 in a row. They're taking on the Hawks here in Atlanta. We'll take a look at this one. We have another game video up for you and our player props that we are staying very hot on. We should mention Ben Simmons coming through for us. Well done, Nate, calling that the double-double hit as well, plus 480 if you were able to get that early enough. Well, I digress. Make sure to like and subscribe to that page so you can check all this stuff out each and every weekday of this regular season. Also, head to thelines.com. Nate puts all the picks up there as well. And we have our odds finder tool on there, so you can go ahead and make sure that you are shopping those lines, getting the best juice on all your NBA bets this season. Nate, let's run through these 12 games here in the league and then get to Hawks and Kangs.
Yeah, we got a nice full slate here, a lot of back-to-backs, including the Sixers, who pulled off that win. You mentioned, even though Ben Simmons got a few of his numbers, they're +4 at Charlotte. Then we have the Blazers +9 at Cleveland. They will be without Damian Lillard again. Wolves are +1 at the surprising Pacers. The Nets +2 at the Raptors. Wizards +2 at the Heat. Mavericks are down to +4 at Celtics. That opened at +7, though. The Kings, like you said, +6 at the Hawks after winning their 7th straight in Memphis. Nearby, Nuggets -2 at Thunder. They've got Jokic back from COVID. The other game we break down, the Pelicans are -6.5 at the Spurs, who have lost 10 of their last 11. Bulls are +8 at the Bucks. Pistons +11 at the Jazz, and then the Clippers +9 at the Warriors. That line could be all over the place depending where you're getting your injury news with those two teams. Championship favorites that just are not looking like championship teams. But here we were talking about the Kings and the Hawks, who the Kings early in the season, I mean, you would worry about this spot, the back-to-back, getting pushed down the stretch, almost coughing up a big lead in Memphis on Tuesday night. You would worry about it if it wasn't a team that is just out to prove itself every night, right? Just a young, woebegone franchise that's finally starting to play really well. And Mike Brown's coaching his ass off with this team. De'Aaron Fox has just been unbelievable, and he's going to be able to limit Trae Young on the other end of the floor as well. I mean, +6 is definitely too big of a number here as we look at it on Tuesday night. The Kings just wrapped up that previous win. I don't think you're going to get that by the time this video airs tomorrow morning. I think it's going to be much closer to like +3 if underdogs here. But in that situation, the Kings have been money. 57% cover rate as road dogs since 2020. 56% on a rest disadvantage and 19-11 against the spread with no rest. So this is exactly the type of thing that a young team will be able to do. They're on a real prove-it stretch right now. They go to Boston on Friday. Then they come home and face the Suns. And look, they've been doing the damn thing against whoever they play. 7 in a row, a 129 offensive rating, pace around 101, best true shooting in the league, and a very poor defensive rating, which is why this total opened at 239, just astronomical total. But as Josh will delve into a little bit more, Hawks at home are not really lighting it up like they were last year. It's kind of the inverse home-road splits. And their last 2 games against very competitive defense, great offenses that we thought you would have thought at surface level, like, okay, this is going to be an over. They're going to light it up. The Celtics shut them down in the fourth quarter. Cavs, same thing. I mean, this Hawks crunch time offense, maybe it's just like a little awkward right now with DeJounte and Trae trying to figure out when it's each one's turn to initiate. And the Kings have been really good in clutch time, the exception being that they almost coughed up that lead to Memphis. But prior to that, they were good enough to build the lead. in Memphis, which, going into that game, I talked about Memphis had only lost twice in 20 home games, and both were to those Celtics. So the point being, Sacramento is growing up, real fast, and if you can capitalize on an underdog spread for this team right now, I say you take it.
Yeah, I get that. I mean, as I told you when I was looking at this game, I'm like 239.5. Give me that under for sure. Like you said, we're recording this Tuesday night. But like I can't see it dropping that much. Honestly, the way that they almost coughed up the game tonight, I can't see the spread dropping that much either. Those back-to-backs and those, sorry, referencing what you were talking about with them being away dogs since 2020 and having a pretty good, cover percentage there. They're also covering probably some pretty big spreads last year and the year before when they were away dogs against some pretty good teams, but not the same team this year. 6.5 does feel like too much for them. 239.5 is way too much. Like the stuff that I have about, about the reason for an under here, like I'm willing to look this all the way down to like 234.5. And if it's open at 239.5, I just think it's way off. Obviously, this video won't go up quite in time for people to probably get it at 239.5. I think it's going to go down. Maybe I'm completely wrong, but like right now, the home road splits for Atlanta and the road home splits for Sacramento both are just like screaming under if it's going to be in the mid to high 230s. Home for Atlanta, 176.6 defensive rating, 10 points higher almost on the road at 116. They're allowing 113 points per game out at home versus 115 on the road. They're playing at a little bit of a faster pace at home, which is really the reason that like their defensive rating is so much better, but they're still allowing like a decent amount of points per game. But allowing 113 points per game, yes, like the Kings are going to come in and do what they do on offense, bringing one of the best offenses we've seen in the last 7 games. That if that were to last all season, it'd be like the best offense ever. But if you're looking at what their splits and what they do differently, it's score a lot more at home as well. I mean, they're scoring 117.5 on the road versus 124 at home. Let's say that they get that 117 in this game. I don't know. I don't feel like it's going to get all the way up. It's not going to be like a 123, 117 game, in my opinion, with the way that they also play at a slower pace. They shoot 6 percentage points much worse in terms of their true shooting percentage to Sacramento. All the defensive numbers for Atlanta are way better as well. They allow 32% from 3 at home as opposed to 37% on the road. That 3-point percentage is that they're allowing is like top 10 in the NBA everywhere. They shoot 28.5% from 3 at home, do the Hawks, versus 36% on the road. We've talked about this being a little bit of the sort of identity of Trae Young, where he likes to be the villain on the road and has better numbers and better splits on the road as opposed to home, which is odd. Normally, you obviously see the inverse there. They don't score as much. They don't have a lower free throw rate. They don't offensive rebound the ball as well. The things that are going for Sac in this game and why I would feel also comfortable betting on them is that they're scoring a ton of their points in the paint, and that's what they've been doing even more so in their last now 7-game win streak. They've bumped up their amount of points in the paint that they score, going from like 15th in the league to now like 5th in the league, and getting back to that identity that is around Sabonis and Fox getting in the lane and things of that nature. And yeah, so I the fact that Atlanta can't guard what Sacramento does best, and the fact that like I don't know, DeJounte on De'Aaron Fox, fine, but like Huerter's out there, and as KD mentioned in his recent interview on the Boardroom, that his show, the respect that you should have for Kevin Huerter right now is like Klay Thompson level, based on how the percentages that he's shooting from 3, like 57% on catch and shoot threes, for Huerter. So like there's reason to believe in this team and the offense that they're putting together, and there's reason to believe that this backcourt against Atlanta can put up some points, but the pace of the game, the fact that Atlanta plays better on D and worse on O at home, I just feel like if it's like I said, mid to high 230s, I'd love an under here.
And the home road splits are the same thing for the Kings in terms of supporting this, that their defensive rating is 6 points better on the road. Yeah. They score 7 points fewer. They shoot 6 percentage points worse from 3. Atlanta really struggling from 3, like you mentioned recently. So, I mean, it's hard to get to 240 combined if nobody's hitting threes, or if we're just not getting that consistently. the Kings are traveling with that defense right now. I mean, they did a great job against Memphis. John Morant surprisingly played. He was basically ruled out, and then all of a sudden was in there, and they still able to hold Memphis to about 90 points until the final minutes there. Like I said,
Right.
I mean, they have
They tried to give that game away.
Yeah, they've shown some youth, and the refs also let Memphis start to mug them because that's what the atmosphere is like in that arena. Atlanta, while they have a good home court, I don't think it's quite the same as the quote grindhouse. But the last 4 meetings between these teams have gone under. Like to your point, I mean they haven't hit more than 225, I believe. And you have to go back to 2019 when the Kings were just a joke on defense for them to have gone over a total like this, or even over 230. With Mike Brown, he's a really good defensive coach, as we know. He's got a scheme in place. They've got depth that I don't think most people realize. Picking guys off the scrap heap like Malik Monk and Trey Lyles too. That if this is a back-to-back situation, and Sabonis maybe doesn't have that much gas after last night, it's just fine. They've got guys that they can throw in there to limit what Atlanta is trying to do right now, which is get points in the paint and get wide open shots. And the Kings are just not really obliging that. I think they will be able to. I do agree with your under here. I mean, it's kind of the same theory. If you're taking +6, we're taking under. We're expecting a close enough game to feel much better about that side of this one.
Yeah, because with this Kings offense, it's just hard to see them really getting just stifled to the point that that they wouldn't hit anywhere near their total. And then so what I'm saying is Atlanta blowing them out. Even if that's the case, it's not going to be, in my opinion, because they're going off on offense and the Kings just aren't matching them. The Kings are continuing to match everybody on offense and actually lead sort of the aggressive attack. And like you said, this is a young team that every single game this season is going to mean something to them. This is like an NFL schedule, right? They can't afford to give too many guys days off. There's only a certain amount of wins, and they want as many of them as they can. If the Kings get a top 3 seed in the West, man, I don't know, the state of California might take a day off for NBA playoff day and the Kings day, if you will, right now. The hype is real. So hashtag light the beam, if you will. That's all the time we have in this one. Definitely make sure to like and subscribe to that page. Continue to follow along with us. We've got our player props up for you as well as we continue to stay hot. I believe undefeated last night. So we'll look to continue to bring you guys those units. And until we see you next, happy betting.